How's it going, everyone? So it's been a pretty crazy weekend for myself, and I really wanted to tackle a follow-up video on the Intel video, and I tried so many things here. I actually took that PC in back there for free to fix it, just so I could have a 10900K test bench, but it came in on Thursday. I already fixed it a few days ago, and I need to get it back to the customer. So what I need to do is I need to go find a test bench. A lot of you guys started mentioning comments like, for an example, I need to test Linux. And as you can see in the background, it might be tough to see, but this is actually a Linux installation running right now that's in Ubuntu. And so it's an older one, but I need to more familiarize myself with Linux before I install it on my own personal system and use it for a while. So that's actually kind of the plan. I want to see how my problematic 13700K on my possibly bad Windows installation for the seventh time is working with Linux. And I'm going to run DaVinci. I'm going to run all my apps that I try to run. I realize there are some games I can't play, but I don't really play that many games anyway. So that's the strategy going forward to try to test my own system. And I want to mention a few other things too. There's something massive that I missed in my last video, and this is part of the reason why I took it down. For one, the I/O location on the silicone that was something I confused. Bryan corrected that in a comment which was pinned at the top, pretty much from the very start of that video. I originally thought that they had moved it to the board, which in reality all they did was move it off the die of the CPU. There was tons of arguments about latency and how it's in nanoseconds and how there's no way that that could possibly create any stutter. And I'll say this, I'm not an engineer. I'm not a CPU engineer. I am a SMT operator. I build computers, and I've been building computers for since 2012. And there was one major thing that I noticed when I was tallying up all the comments. I actually literally sat down, and when I was at work, I was going through every single comment, and I read almost all of them, especially the ones that were like massively insulting, which I try not to let the trolls bother me, but man, some of those comments were wild. I counted about 70% of them. More than 60 to like 65% of people were like, I don't experience this problem. I don't know. I don't see stutter. I have not experienced this. And then the other 35% were extremely vocal about having this exact same problem. There were some on older generations of CPUs or even AMD, which I didn't really count as much at first, which thinking back now I probably should have, but I was really just trying to tackle the 12th and 13th gen issue, which stems from Bryan from City's video. And the reason why this whole thing got so big to me was because I've literally been having this issue for so long. I've had 4 computers come through here. They're all on my channel. There's an EVGA custom build that's like all EVGA parts. That computer did it. There's a 12700K ARC system custom loop. That computer did it. I had a 12900 non-K Lenovo system. It was like a pre-built. It was a resto or restored computer that came out of the box, I think from Newegg, or maybe it was Micro Center. I forget. But that system also had the same problems, if not worse. And that's actually sitting in an embroidery shop. I wrote that in my community section. You guys can check out. There's a whole post dedicated to every single thing I've tried. Everything from like C states to the power plans to changing like legacy to balanced and using high performance in the new. And like I've been through this. I've been on Reddit. I've found hundreds of these posts over the past 6 months. Just it's very tough because a lot of them talk about just gaming. They're not talking about just like normal desktop use. It's very tough to look up my mouse or cursor stutters on the desktop. It's like Overwatch is stuttering or like Call of Duty stuttering. So that was where it was kind of getting hard for me to like figure out what's going on with my own system. So coming back to Bryan, City, and his videos. So first of all, Bryan is somebody I respect majorly. I have watched him for years. I pretty much credit him for a lot of my success in the selling computer world. He's a really cool dude, and I respect him. So when it comes to sources and information, for an example, the Computext information that he had mentioned, and I just want to say that I'm not going to mention anything about it. I just can't. It's for him and those people. to deal with if they want to talk about it. But as of right now, I'll say this: it's not some just joke source of somebody, like some person walking around on the floor like, "Hey, these CPUs are broken." No, this is a real thing. It was a real conversation between not two people, and that's all I want to say about that. That's another reason why I took this video down, because I can't produce that evidence for you guys. And there's just no way. There's no way I can prove to you that so and so said this. And it just kind of ate at me throughout the weekend. And I was like, yeah, I don't know how I can do something better than even Tech Yes's video. Like, I don't have the hardware. Yes, there's a bunch of stuff behind me that I don't even own because I I get it on loan so I can build PCs. So here's my plan going forward. I'm going to install Linux on my personal system. I'm going to run this for a while. I don't know how soon I'll be able to put a video out because I need to take some time. Like, Linux to me is, I run it on the Steam Deck. I have a couple SSDs back there. The reason why that one's running it is because I pulled the customer's SSD out and I put an older version of Linux in there that I'm going to update and play around with a little bit right before it gets picked up. And then once my new NVMe drive comes in, my personal rig is going to be Linux. So if I find these problems on Linux, I'm definitely going to report it, because if it's doing it on Linux, then there's clearly an issue. I don't know else how to explain it. The thing with Linux is that I really need to spend a lot of time learning it and learning how to optimize the 13700K system with Linux, because if I go in blind and I'm like, oh, it's stuttering or having problems, you know what the first thing I did was I went online and wrote Intel 12th Gen stuttering in Linux. What did I find? They exist. Those posts exist. They're not as far common because not a lot of people are running Linux. Most people are running Windows. It's just how it is. The other reason why, and I hate to allow the trolls to do this to me, but I did get some like really messed up messages and comments that like made me really think about stuff. Um, Getting sued, that kind of thing. And I just didn't want to go down this route. I'm a small new tech channel. I'm mostly focused on like budget builds, budget water cooling systems. Like, I have a bunch of that stuff on the page. And it's funny because nobody watches that kind of stuff. They usually just watch the drama. So I'm always like, what do I make? Do I make drama videos or do I make, builds? And I don't know. It just gets a little tough to figure out what kind of content to focus on. And I appreciate all the new subs. Like, you guys are awesome. The people who commented good stuff, like in my community section where I posted everything I did with those computers, like, you guys were awesome. You literally were trying to help me in every form. Um, One guy, he wants to connect on Discord, and I was thinking maybe we could make a Discord that's just dedicated to this problem. And if you guys have that problem, you can join the Discord. If you guys like that idea, please leave a comment down below. I'll definitely look into doing it. That way we can try to resolve this issue. If it's just a Windows issue, I still just don't know. I still am like on the fence about everything, and I don't want to be a bad journalist, as many have said. I will say that bad CPUs are not unheard of. I actually have had a few come through, especially Ryzen. Ryzen 3rd Gen has had some real wonky CPUs, specifically the 3600 being one that either fails or starts to intermittently fail in the weirdest ways. Some older 4th Gen Intel processors, my own 7900X on the X299 platform I had go bad on me. Now, obviously, a CPU going bad is not the same thing as something wrong with a CPU right out of the gate. And I truly believe that it's not just the CPU. I believe it's a combination of things. I think Windows 11 is a massive culprit here. Let's just say the information is incorrect. There's still a problem. People are still having issues with these computers. So it would be nice to see somebody like Microsoft and Intel work together to make a fix for this kind of problem. That's going to do it for the video, guys. I'm not even going to ask for the likes and subscribes or any of that shit. So I'll see you guys next time. Peace.